Jai Jaya Radha Hari Jaya Radha Hari Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Aladeva Mai Subhadra Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Aladeva Mai Subhadra Jaya Srinath Ji Jaya Pala Gopal Jaya Srinath Ji Jaya Giri Govardha Jaya Srinath Ji Jaya Pala Gopal Jaya Srinath Ji Jaya Giri Govardha Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Astottara Tattva Sabai Charavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Astottara Tattva Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Grantharaj Shrimadbhagavatam Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Gaur Premanande All glories to Samaveda All glories to Samaveda All glories to Samaveda All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sadasatyam Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki Hare Krishna. Welcome. Grantharaj Shrimadbhagavatam, Bhagavatam class, Devasundar Mandir, Canto 1, Chapter 13, text number 44, Dhritarashtra quits home. Yanmanyase dhruvam lokam adhruvam vanato vayam Sarvatana Shochayaste Snehad Anyatra Mohajat Yanmanyase Dhruvam Lokam Adhrubam Vanacho Bhayam Sarvatmana hi sochaste Snehad anyatra mohajat Yanmanyase dhruvam lokam Adhrubam vanacho vayam Sarvatmana hi sochasyaste Sneha yad anyatra mohajat
Yanmanyase dhruvam lokam Adhruvam vanacho bhayam Sarvatana hi sochayaste
Sarvatana hi choyasche
Snehadanyatra mohajat
Snehadanyatra mohajat
Yanmanyase Dhruvam Lokam
Yanmanyase dhruvam lokam
Dhruvam Vanakupayam
Adruvam vanachobhayam
Sarvatanahe Sokyaste
Sarvatana hi sochaste
Snehat Anyatra Mohajat
Snehadanyatra mohajat. Word for word. Yat.
Yeah.
Even though. Manyase.
Anyase
You think. Dhruvam. Absolute truth. Lokam. Persons. Adhruvam. Non-reality. Va. Either. Na. Or not. Cha. Also. Ubayam.
Ubayam
Or both wise.
or both wise.
Sarvata.
Sarvata
In all circumstances.
in all circumstances.
No.
Nah,
Never.
never.
He. Certainly.
Certainly.
Shochaya.
Socha.
Subject for lamentation.
Subject for lamentation.
Te.
Big.
They.
They.
Sneha.
Sneha.
Due to affection.
Due to affection.
Anyatra. Or
Anyatra.
otherwise.
Or otherwise.
Mohajat.
Mohat.
Mohajat.
Mohajat.
Due to bewilderment.
Due to bewilderment.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Amari Charnavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
O King, in all circumstances, whether you consider the soul to be an eternal principle, or the material body to be perishable, or everything to exist in the impersonal absolute, or everything to be an inexplicable combination of matter and spirit, feeling of separation are due only to illusory affection and nothing more. Please repeat, O King,
O King,
in all circumstances,
in all circumstances,
whether you consider
whether you consider
the soul to be
the soul to
an
be
eternal principle,
an eternal
or
principle,
the material body
or the material body
to be perishable,
to be perishable,
or everything to exist
or everything to
in
exist
the impersonal absolute truth,
in the impersonal absolute truth,
or everything to be
or everything to be
an inexplicable combination
to be an inexplicable combination
of matter and spirit.
of matter and spirit.
Feeling of separation
Feeling of separation
are due only to
are due only to
illusory affection
illusionary effects
and nothing more.
and nothing more.
Purport. The actual fact is that every living being is an individual part and parcel of the Supreme Being, and his constitutional position is subordinate cooperative service, either in his conditional material existence or in his liberated position of full knowledge in eternity. The living entity is eternally under the control of the Supreme Lord. But those who are not conversant with the factual knowledge put forth many speculative propositions about the real position of the living entity. It is admitted, however, by all schools of philosophy that the living being is eternal, and that the covering of the body of the five material elements is perishable and temporary. The eternal living entity transmigrates from one material body to another by the law of karma, and material bodies are perishable by their fundamental structures. Therefore, there is nothing to be lamented in the case of the souls being transferred into another body, or the material bodies perishing at a certain stage. There are others also who believe in the merging of the spirit soul and the Supreme Spirit when it is uncovered by the material engagement. There are also others who do not believe in the existence of the Supreme Spirit, but believe in tangible matter. In our daily experience, we find so many transformations of matter from one form to another, but we do not lament changing such features. In either of the above cases, the force of the divine energy is uncheckable. No one has any hand in it, and thus there is no cause of grief. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanam Jana Shalakayam Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Saranam Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Radha Shri Vishakamitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Divipate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gauragi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusutte Devi Pramami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Vasindhuveta Patinana Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishya Samivadi Prasada Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. O King, in all circumstances, whether you consider the soul to be an eternal principle, or the material body to be perishable, or everything to exist in the impersonal absolute truth, or everything to be an inexplicable combination of matter and spirit, feeling a separation are due only to the illusory affection and nothing more. So, this verse, of course, Narada Muni is speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Narada Muni is basically telling Yudhishthira Maharaj, who are you to protect anybody? If we really think how he's speaking here, he's telling that what is your role? Why you're lamenting that Dhritarashtra and Gandhari are gone? Like, what is your ability to help anyone? Now he's speaking to the king of the whole planet, right? So he's speaking to a very powerful person who has this ability to help, but he is, really pushing, but he's speaking with great philosophy, detailed philosophy. And here, the interesting point is making, and it's the same point that Krishna makes in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So we know Arjuna was conflicted with this prospect of fighting the war, right? And he didn't want to kill his brothers, his uncles, his guru, his grandfather. I mean, very, extraordinary conflict in his heart. And Krishna said, You are, lamenting for that which is not worthy of lamenting. You call yourself a real man? In essence, he sort of chastises him. And then he breaks down, Krishna does in the second chapter, that, listen, your spirit soul, you're not this body. And the body is fully perishable and the soul is imperishable. And he gives all the examples. It cannot be cut by weapon, wet by water, withered by wind, burned by fire. All these things is given. And he establishes that the Dhira, the sober person, does not lament this changing of the bodies. Just like, Mataji. Mataji, you lament changing one old sari for new sari? That you lament changing an old kurta, torn kurta in the pocket with a new kurta? So Krishna says that there is no need to lament changing body. But then, and most of us miss this in chapter 2, Krishna goes down from this jnana to that. He says, even if you don't believe in the soul, and you think that this body is just a combination of matter, then what are you lamenting? Because the matter combined into form this body, and it will go away, and it'll come back. So there's nothing lost. So Krishna actually speaks this philosophy that says, even if you don't believe in the soul, there's then nothing to lament about the losing of the body. Because the reality is, when someone dies, you say, you cannot put a price on someone's life. You can't put a price on it. And so the material philosophy is that, well, this body, if you buy all the raw materials that are made up of this body, it costs you a few dollars.
Okay.
Like what? Think about it. 60% water. What would 8-10 gallons of water cost you? Some calcium, some phosphorus, some material, like, what would it cost you? A few bucks. So then, if I lose it, then what's the loss? A few dollars. We don't, grieve for years and years about the loss of a few bucks. Right? So Krishna says that regardless of what your philosophy is, our lamentation on the changing of the bodies, and much more than that, is only due to our ahankara, our false ego. Our false understanding, this illusion that we are somehow in some kind of powerful position. And so, Krishna, Jai Shri Radha Kundra, Jai Jagannath, Balai Salam, Jai Shri Nathi Bhagavan, Jai Shri Mani. So Prabhupada, as he always does, he opens the purport with this, nice statement. The actual fact is that every living being is an individual part and parcel of the Supreme Being. And his constitutional position is subordinate cooperative service. So, this feeling of lamentation, right? How many times in a given week, in a given month, year, do we feel some lamentation? Right? That's 100% due to our avidya, our ignorance. That we're forgetting who's in control. Actually, if we speak very unemotionally, and we just when we lament something, there's a feeling often that something wrong is happening, right? We're indirectly criticizing Krishna. Think about it. Again, it's a little, takes a step, but think about it. If Krishna did not want such event to happen, could it happen? Couldn't happen. Couldn't happen. If such event was not fair to happen, could it happen? No. Because what we imply then is that thing that I am lamenting for either was unjust, meaning Krishna made a mistake. His formula of action equals equal and opposite reaction, he overcompensated. Right?
Yeah.
Or his plan has some error.
God's plan has some error. Wow, that's deep.
So,
Wait.
no, it really, again, you can only have this conversation when we are in an unemotional state, right? Like when we're in the midst of some lamenting event, it's very difficult, right? But we should just at least acknowledge that any lamentation we have, it is not having faith and confidence in Krishna's plan and Krishna's control. So Narada Muni here is telling that your feelings of separation are only due to illusory affection. Think about that. He's telling Yudhishthira Maharaj that your affection to your uncle, and it's illusory. Right? It's a very strong statement, right? So someone who's in despair, they say, hey, they have died, whatever, they're not your real relationship. Right? Just like, when someone loses their mother and father, right? Well, again, in an unemotional, objective sense, what's the big deal? You've had millions of mothers and millions of fathers. Now, of course, we are conditioned souls. So we have this lamentation. But the point is that this type of philosophy is what helps us overcome that lamentation, to recover from that expediently. It's not that, okay, I'm going to be stone-hearted or cold-hearted in the moments of lamentation. But when we have lamentation, what gives us the strength to lift ourselves up from that circumstance is not the surrender that, okay, it's Krishna's control. Because that only gives us one part. That makes us, give us a feeling of somewhat helplessness. I can't change it. Right? So like this. When I am in a prison, I am subjected to control of the prison guards. Right? And to the extent I have some intelligence, I just have to accept that. That's the reality. But it doesn't mean I like it. Right? So this type of control under Krishna is not like that. Why? Because Krishna's control of us is with his full love for us. So when we surrender to Krishna's plan and his control, it actually should bring out this mood of comfort. Again, in an unemotional state, would we rather live under our plan or live under Krishna's plan? Whose plan for us is better?
Krishna's.
How many plans have we had for ourselves where we wanted something, we got it, and then realized, oh boy, that didn't work out so well. Once or twice?
Wow.
How many times Krishna's plan has unfolded and it didn't work out for us? Certainly. So, this faith in Krishna's plan is actually the ultimate liberating experience for all of our lamentation. Because this material world is full of dukkha. There's dukkha alaya. Right? Alaya means house of
Misery.
It's a house of misery. We try to pretty it up. We try to, spruce it up a little bit. But at the end of the day, as they say in America, it's lipstick on a pig. That's the reality. It's lipstick on a pig. It's dukkha. But a devotee living in this same place doesn't experience dukkha, misery. Because he knows this is Krishna's plan. This misery is the greatest of blessings. Why? If this material world was so nice and fruitful, how I would ever overcome my ahankara and surrender to Krishna and engage in loving service with him. I would just enjoy eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So the trials and tribulations of this material world, they're a constant reminder. And why we need constant reminder? Because we've been told once, twice, thrice, 100 times, and we still forget. We can be suffering and suffering and suffering and suffering, and we're remembering Krishna. Krishna, please save me, please help me, please help me. And as soon as we overcome that suffering, we forget Krishna again. within moments. And then back to suffering. So the devotee realizes, Krishna, I am so fickle that you give suffering, right? Who prayed for more suffering? We just read, right? A few months ago. King Kunti. Calamity after calamity. I'm still assured none of us have gone to Kunj Bihari. Kunj Bihari, are you listening? Please give me calamity after calamity. Anybody's prayed like that? No, nobody prays like that. Because but that calamity, the difficulties, that is our greatest fortune. Because it's a reminder. This is not a place for gentlemen and gentlewomen. This is a place of difficulty. So, this illusory affection is easily overcome with faith in Krishna's plan. And remember, Krishna has only one desire. He has only one desire. To see all of his children happy. He doesn't desire to enjoy his spiritual opulence, his, elaborate abode in the spiritual world. He has no desire to enjoy that. He wants to give happiness to his devotees. So when he gives us up, thank you, Krishna. I was going off the road and you brought me back on. Right? That difficulty is that only. It is Krishna's great plan for us. And, we'll be celebrating the Shrimad Chaturdashi coming up. And Prahlad Maharaj had extraordinary faith in this. When he was thrown into the pit of snakes, his consciousness was so much he was thinking only of Ananta Shesh and Lord Vishnu lying on a bed of snakes. And he was thinking, these are snakes, Now we're in a bed of snakes or a pit of snakes, how we would react. But his consciousness was like unbelievable. When he was thrown into the fire, he's shivering in cold.
Okay.
So he had faith that this body is nothing, it's just matter. And if Krishna wants this body to go, it will go. And if he wants to keep it, it will keep it, regardless of this circumstance. So what is the value of my lamentation? Right? What is my lamentation getting? Nothing. But what gets me somewhere is my meditation on the love and mercy of Krishna. So this is what Yudhishthira Maharaj is being guided by Narada Muni, and very, very strongly, that hey, you think you're a big king and you can control this? People come together in this world. In Shrimadbhagavatam it's explained that as the waves bring grains of sand together, and then as the wave recedes, it tears them apart. Like that, we come together with different persons, and then later, by the force of time, we come apart. So that is we can't control. So don't lament for it. The other example is given of people come together in they call like a rest area. And then after some time, they split. So we come together with different persons, but our main relationship is with Krishna. So this is the position of the devotee. But Yudhishthira Maharaj's lamentation is not completely misplaced. But we have to lament for the one thing, because Srila Prabhupada came here in a mood of lamentation. So the devotee is para dukkha dukhi. Right? He has dukkha. He has pain. What is that pain? Seeing the suffering of others who are under this illusory affection. Seeing the suffering of others, they feel pain. And that inspires to go out and share this knowledge. And Srila Prabhupada went through unimaginable difficulty. And we say, why? Right? He was fueled by this compassion, inspired by the instruction of his spiritual master, and overcame so many obstacles. We have so many obstacles in our own, very tiny preaching efforts. But what Srila Prabhupada endured, we celebrate all the successes, but we don't see and experience the long journey to that point. And that fuel for him was that lamentation of the suffering of others and separation. Seeing that people aren't able to solve their problems by the material manipulation. The only solution to their lamentation is surrendering to Radha Kundi. And when you do this plan, this confidence grows exponentially. So this is the opportunity. And the other thing that Srila Prabhupada writes here in this purport, I thought we could just comment on, is, but those who are not very conversant with factual knowledge put forward many speculative propositions about the real position of the living entity. So this is a very dangerous position, because this knowledge is not to be deduced. This is not deductive knowledge. This is descending knowledge. No matter how much intelligence we apply, we'll never understand this science. This has to be received under Guru Parampara, Guru Sadhu Shastra. And that's why, we have to be, mindful, never to speculate. But we don't speculate on things like because we have faith, we take on face value because we have faith in Srila Prabhupada's teachings. But we can broaden the aperture of this principle to remember that our practice of devotional service is not under our own understanding. So I always say, when we do, Srila Prabhupada trained us that when we do service, it's science, not art. Art is an individual expression. Science is a formula. Right? Like you go to the laboratory and you do an experiment. What do? You follow a systematic set of steps and process to get to the outcome. Right? And when your lab fails, and I was the worst, I was a pre-med major, and so every lab I ever did failed. Because I would like skip stuff. Like, I just didn't have the patience to go step by step by step. And so when it was supposed to turn blue, it would turn green. You know? When it was supposed to bubble, it would like, you know, nothing would happen. Whatever, like nothing ever happened. And just recently, I was walking on the campus of Michigan. I was walking by, and there was some students in a lab, and I'm seeing they're working with those Bunsen burners. I'm like getting a pit in my stomach. I'm like, oh God, like suckers. I was just thinking, like, what a misery. I was thinking of all my failures. But you know, the point is, like, you know, in our devotional service, again, it's more science than art. Because when we apply art, our individual expression, what happens is we think we're doing something right. But because we haven't yet fully purified the heart, that thinking could be wrong. Might be right, but it could be wrong. Just like, you know, again, if my lenses are cloudy, which they actually are, and I put them on, everything looks cloudy, right? But is everything cloudy? No. But when I look at it, it looks cloudy. So similarly, if I look at a circumstance through the impurity of my heart, then the decision I make will likely be off. Right? So in our devotional service, you know, we're instructed that we follow the process in a very systematic way. And that takes, like, it's hard, right? The ego is like, well, I want to do it this way. You know, I want to do it that way. And that's natural, right? There's this natural tug. But when we surrender to that process, actually our experience in devotional service, it grows manifold. We become very enthused in our service.
Yes.
And when it's, again, that, you know, that idea of individual expression, we become challenged. And there's a gray area, right? There's a gray area of, like, you know, well, there's some inspiration that comes, but we should always start from this basis of it's a science. I'm doing it under instruction and guidance. You know, we pray, you know, to the Lord how to do this service, and then we see what happens. So, but this principle that, you know, Srila Prabhupada writes about the not conversant, speculate, right? We also speculate. We may not be speculative philosophers about the impersonal position of the Lord, because Prabhupada is ground into our head that, but we also speculate in small ways, and it's just nice to reflect on our opportunity to, you know, stamp out that speculation. You know, just like Yudhishthira Maharaj is kind of speculating, right? Oh, I have some role in protecting Dhritarashtra, and he's gone. Okay. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki. Any comments, discussion?
Hare Krishna, thanks for the wonderful class. So we understood that Supreme Lord is the controller, everything. But in contrast, like, how can we relate that with our minute independence and free will that comes up?
Yeah. So first we have to remember, why do we have free will? Why do we have free will? Yes?
When he does someone want your love, you know, because she acts. He wants to encourage you better. He wants to get it.
Yes. So Krishna wants to experience love. So he created us. We were not created for any other reason. Why else he would create us? So without free will, there cannot be love. Right? That's forced servitude. Right? So there has to be the option not to. You know, we talk about leadership, right? One of like my favorite definitions of leadership is getting someone to follow you when they have the option not to. Right? That's leadership. Because, like in the workplace, it's not really leadership because they need a paycheck. Or they're going to get paid. Right? But leadership, when you can get someone to follow when they have the option not to. Right? So same thing, love. Right? Love, you need to have the option not to in order for it to be love. So Krishna gives us the free will, which conclusively tells us he never takes it away. Right? So we have this idea sometimes that, oh, I'm destined for this, I'm destined for that. Or, you know, Krishna's in control. People really struggle with this idea. If Krishna knows the future, it means we're programmed. No. He just knows how we're going to exercise our free will in the future because his knowledge is so perfect. But the free will is never taken away. Right? Because that's the only way in which Krishna can experience love. Right? So, we have free will, and that is our eternal nature. But it's also our biggest liability. Our free will is our liability. Because it is the exercise of our free will, inappropriately, that brought us here. Why are we here? Not here in Davidson, but here. But why are we here in the material world? We exercise our free will incorrectly. Okay? So, we have my Guru Maharaj used to always quote this from Srila Prabhupada that, you know, man proposes, God disposes. Right? Which is very, you know, people say that all the time, but they are trying to understand that, right? So in our action, you know, Krishna explains the 18th chapter, the 5 constituents of action, that the first step is our desire. Right? So that free will starts all action. But whether it happens or not is out of our hand. Right? I may desire to be a billionaire, but whether that happens or not is based on my karma, based on what Krishna agrees or disagrees, you know, and according to this. But the desire for action is always just so everything that I do starts with that. So we have the free will at all times to choose what to do. But what we don't have control over is the response. Right? So I can't control the outcome. That I can't control. I can control that I want to, you know, cross the street. What happens while I cross the street? That's according to my karma, according to Krishna's arrangement. Right? So that's why we have karma. Otherwise, if there's no free will, there's no karma. Well, how I can be held accountable for my actions if I'm not responsible? If I don't do the actions. If I go and slap somebody, right? So that's the presence of free will. And again, I mention this often. What is the best thing to do with our free will? This is the other ego-shattering statement. The best use of our free will is to give our free will to Srila Prabhupada and our Guru. And say, hey, I am irresponsible with my free will. Can you take it and tell me what to do? That's also voluntary, right? Like, that's an exercise of our free will. But that is the best use of our free will. Because they know better what we should do than we. Then we convince ourselves, I got this one. I don't need help on this one. I know this stuff.
Yes. I get this feeling. Yes.
It happens.
Right.
It happens. And you know, the interesting thing in it works exactly opposite to what should happen. The more we progress, oh, I'm a senior now. I know. I know what I should do. I know what I'm doing. I've done this a few times. I'm good.
Okay.
The reality is the opposite should happen. The more we purify, the more we realize how foolish we are and how ill-equipped we are to actually understand. And how perfect Krishna's plan is, how perfect Guru's message is, how, but sometimes, not sometimes, often. Because again, when we first show up in the temple, I don't know if I'm supposed to go this way around Tulsi Marani or this way.
Okay.
I don't know when they put the water in my hand, am I supposed to drink it or wash my hand? I don't know anything. So it's easy to follow, right? It's easier to ask, hey, what am I supposed to do? Because we don't know. Well, once we so-called know, we stop hearing, right? So this free will, it's there. If we understand it, it's a liability for us. Because we have a tendency to misuse it. But it's also an asset, because it's our path to love of Krishna. So with our free will, we should exercise our free will. Give it over, hand it over to someone who can care for it better than us, and say, hey, teach us how to love Kunjbihari. So, kind of a twisted answer to your question. Yeah.
I like in the poor part when you read, he says, what did he say? But those who are not conversant in factual knowledge. I always like what Prabhupada puts so nicely when he's trying to really hit you in the head. He says, I know you're talking to me, Those who are not conversant in factual knowledge, poor fundamental knowledge, those type of terms, I think they're really, really, really good to understand that we just don't know. We don't know anything. And when we think we know something, that's when problems start. When we think we know something. We've been an ego, and listening to a lecture this morning, driving in, and the lecture, the person said, the person who has no vice, who thinks they have no vice, is actually a novice. No vice. So they're a novice. And I like that, because we start thinking we have no problem, like you were saying. Someone actually knows they're very far away from the end game. But someone who thinks they know everything is actually one that's actually really doesn't know. They're a novice. So the question was actually, you talked about wanting calamities and wanting frustration. And one of the things that happens when, I know for me, is when you get frustrated, you tend to just stop doing things. Right? You're like, okay, this is not working out for me. I'm just going to stop this. And so how can we take frustration, as you're saying, and turn it into a positive, realize that this is Krishna actually an opportunity to be more spiritual, because I'm sure people are like me that tend to want to, when you're frustrated, you know what, I'm done for the day.
Stop it.
Yeah. Oh, so first of all, this asking for calamities, remember, it's only a pure devotee like Queen Kunti can do such a thing, right? So, and the nice thing is, remember, Krishna gives us what he knows we can take. Right? Like, sometimes when you need to push somebody, right? If you push them too hard, they're going to fall. But if you give them a little push, like when your kid's riding a bike, right? You have to give them a push. But not to push too hard that you fall, right? So Krishna is like that. Right? So even if we ask, he knows, okay, child, you can copy Queen Kunti, but so, this frustration and this desire to quit, again, I like to try to give two angles of vision on it. One, practically, we assess, hey, if I'm doing something that's not working out, all right, let me try another way. Right? Like, it's part of the definition of insanity, right? Continue to do the same thing expecting a different outcome. Right? Like, okay, look, if it's not working, great. And try another thing is what's fueled by our faith that, okay, it's Krishna's plan that's going to manifest. So I have to find Krishna's plan. How does he want this to happen? Right? So when we give up, what we are giving up is the opportunity to utilize the facilities Krishna has given us in his service, right? So we can keep the inspiration that, okay, Krishna has given me some abilities, right? Like when we talk about humility, we can be very proud of, let's say I have some ability. We can be very proud of that. But proud that Krishna made it happen, right? That it's a gift. Because the other side of that is, well, we don't use that. Like, if Srila Prabhupada was so-called humble, and he didn't present his literary perfections to us, where we would be. Right? So not using it is a misuse of one's so-called humility. So when we do things, the only way we're going to keep going in the midst of frustration is this understanding that, you know, Krishna has given me some abilities and I have to use it in his service. And I'm not concerned about whether it works or not. You know, that's Krishna's problem, not my problem. If it fails, sorry, you engaged me a full number one in doing it, but I'm going to keep trying, right? Like, it's the ultimate, actually liberating position, right? So, and the reason is, we don't have to take the failures personally. But you can't take the successes personally either. That's the key. You can't have it both ways, right? You can't say, okay, when it fails, that's Krishna's problem. When it's success, I did it. Right? But when you do, it allows us to just put our energy into the service. And that's how, if you study Srila Prabhupada's life, you know, I mean, what he was able to do, like, just by, like, material calculations, right? How much? It's, like, incalculable. How he was able to do. But he was completely unencumbered by using any energy on worrying about the result. All he was worried about was, is he utilizing his time effectively? You know, is he utilizing his time effectively? And when our focus is there, then, you know, you'll see actually extraordinary things unfold. So whenever we have this, you know, feeling of frustration, you know, I just want to quit. Just remember, you know, hey, let me utilize this gift Krishna has given. But at the same time, we can also assess, hey, why did this fail? Is there something better I can do? Can I apply it differently? You know, get some advice, counsel. You know, like, that's the practical advice, practical, you know, response. But remember, all of our ups and downs in devotional service, how there can be a down?
How to be what?
How there can be a down?
How to be down.
There can't be. As soon as there's ups and downs, it means I, me, mine is entering into my service. Because when I'm doing something and it fails, well, I wasn't doing it for me, I was doing it for Krishna. So what did I lose? Nothing. Except for my pride that whatever I was trying failed. Right? I'm trying to make chapatis for Krishna, and they're coming out like all kinds of different shapes of countries, and they're not round. So my ego is broken. Right? So these ups and downs, it's symptomatic of I, me, mine. So it's nice, right? Like when we say, I just didn't enjoy my service, or whatever. Like, you know, we have a down day. We all do, right? It's a nice way to just introspect a little bit. Like, was my mood really to please Krishna? Or was there something I wanted out of it? Which is why I didn't have such a good day. You know, it kind of helps us. So as we purify that, then our enthusiasm becomes unbreakable. And if you see, you know, you study the lives of all our past acharyas, it's remarkable how much setback they face. How much failure they face. But it's remarkable to see how much enthusiasm they perform their service with, how unbreakable their enthusiasm is. I mean, literally unbreakable. And you can go back to, I mean, look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his own journeys. Criticism he took, neglect, like all kinds of things happened. Narottam Das Thakur, amazing Acharya, given Krishna Prem by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, faced so many challenges and setbacks, but persevered. Of course, Sri studied Srila Prabhupada. Bhakti Siddhanta said, he was a murder target. They tried to kill him twice. How many of us are? Thank God. They tried to kill him twice. Just continued on. Okay? So, when we face struggles and failures, we're in good company. But if our consciousness is right, then it's the best. Detach, it's Krishna's plan, it's Krishna's results, and that's how we can persevere. Okay?
So sometimes how can we understand Krishna's plan? Because we might be planning something else, it might not work.
Well, don't put it in Chat GPT. Krishna, what do you think? So, we understand Krishna's plan. One, remember, he's sitting in our heart is Paramatma. But our ability to tune into that frequency is limited. The frequency is there, but that is why Chaitya Guru manifests as Guru Tattva. So Guru is the external representation of this Chaitya Guru to guide us what to do and what not to do. Right? So, because we don't really know ourselves Krishna's plan, so we need to get that plan from someone who does know Krishna's plan. And that's why we make this statement that, that Guru's instructions should be my life air. What does that actually mean? In a way we can understand. If we are separated from air, oxygen, for a few moments, what is our condition? Stress. Fear. To panic, we should carry that same intensity of being separated from Guru's instructions, meaning in consciousness. A few moments even, we should not be separated from those instructions. That's what it means to make them our life air. So, that is how we are protected in knowing what Krishna wants for us. Because we'll speculate, like this statement said, we'll speculate. Oh, Krishna wants me to do this. And that'll rationalize our nonsense. Krishna wants me to sleep in today. Maybe true, maybe not, I don't know. But, so we try to surrender to Guru's instruction. Of course, we have the practical then limitation there. I'm not in the presence of my Guru all the time. Now what to do? Well, then we take, counsel, guidance from those around us who can help us see. But that's how we know what Krishna wants us from us with conviction and faith. So we have to go to somebody who knows Krishna and can tell us. And be careful not to think we have it.
Not to think what, sorry.
That we know it.
Yeah.
There's a tendency, right? And it's not that we have no clue, right? That we do get some inclination. But it's nice to at least reconcile that with, okay, what have I heard from Srila Prabhupada's books? What have I heard from gurus, instructors? These sorts of things. I mean, I'll share this. I hesitate a little, but I'm amazed how many times I've heard, people say, like, yeah, my guru told me to do this, but I'm not doing it. Wow. Like that's, at least we can say, trying and not able, that's fine. But if we have an instruction, we should really consider it, one, our greatest asset, because it gives us a sense of direction. And two, we should, really embrace that and hold on to it and make it happen. It's a great opportunity. We're coming up on Gopal Maharaj's Tirobhav, and it's a nice time to meditate on Guru's instructions, and because obviously there's pain and separation, and then there's comfort in association with the instructions, right? With the Vani, and so it's a nice time to meditate. What is it that Maharaj wanted us to do, and to we celebrate this. I think it was Rukmini Krishna Prabhu, who soon to be Maharaj. Now very excited for that. He made this comment last year at Tirobhav that the Disappearance Festival is an opportunity to enthuse or build our enthusiasm on the instructions of Guru. That's a very nice point he made. I hope I'm giving the right credit to him. I think it was him. That it's the chance for us to kind of revisit, double down, and really meditate, because this is how we know what Krishna wants for us. And this is where we get it. So,
I had a question.
yes.
Just talking about how you were asking these questions and before about the free will discussion. So, like people think that we're predestined, our life is predestined. So you're saying we have free will, but we should follow instructions of Guru. That's how we kind of know Krishna's plan for us. Then our free will comes into play with choosing whether to follow those instructions or not. But Krishna already knows what we're going to decide. Like if we're going to follow or not, like he already knows kind of where, I think you said something earlier about Krishna knows the plan.
Yeah.
So are we, so it's not like, people say, well, it's predestined, I don't have to.
Yeah, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
If I bring a nice bowl of idli sambar right now, I know he's going to eat it. Me knowing he's going to eat it doesn't make him eat it. I just know that he likes that. So Krishna knows how we're going to exercise our free will. Doesn't mean our free will is lost. So he understands how each and every living entity is going to respond to any circumstance. But it's still our response. So him knowing it doesn't mean that it wasn't still our choice, right? So that's the future piece. Now, our free will, Prabhupada explains our free will in that in this right. There's a fixed portion and there's a changeable, right? So there's a certain destiny that's fixed. I have this body. That was my destiny given to me based on my prior actions. But now, what happens next is based on what I do now. And Prabhupada gives the example that if you board a plane, you are now destined to go to that. You can't change it. But what you do on that plane, if you make some nice relationship with your seatmate and some business comes up, you are changing your destiny from what happens after you board the plane. If you get into some altercation on the plane, when you land, you're going to a different destination. So the decisions we make today affects our next. So our destiny is set in these sort of increments. But there's a but. Krishna says, "Aham tum sarva bhagavata." So right there he's saying, you can change your destiny by mamekam sharanam, by surrendering to Krishna. When we surrender to Krishna, we actually can change my destiny based on my past actions. There is a path I'm going down, right? And it's all based on my past action. It's not based on what Krishna programmed. It's based on my past actions. And so, but I can change. I can change by the power of devotional service. Right? So, and when a devotee comes to surrender to Krishna, remember in Shri Upanishad, Krishna says, I take control of that devotee's journey. Because the devotee wants it to happen. And that's why Krishna's plan is supreme. You know, a materialist who goes through their life of trials and tribulations, everything they get is on the basis of karma. And Krishna is not interfering with them. Right? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, you know, to the Dushkritanas, the miscreants, they live perpetually in hell. That is not Krishna's desire. That is their desire. They want to be far away from Krishna. So he does. Right? He tells us this Gyanashpati Apahonam Cha, that he is the source of our forgetfulness of Krishna. Krishna doesn't want us to forget him, but we want to forget him. So he makes it happen. Okay? So, but it's our desire that Krishna is reciprocating to. And that desire is expressed by our favor. So that's why it starts with us. We can't abdicate responsibility anywhere. You know. And Krishna's very kind. Because let's say my destiny has me in a situation where I am illiterate and I'm not, you know, whatever, I don't have intelligence. Just picking one thing. Great. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. He doesn't make the process of surrendering to Krishna dependent on any kind of position, condition. So regardless of what my current situation is, whatever my current destiny is, still, you know, when people say, when Krishna wants me to come to temple, I'll come. I love that. Great, see you tomorrow. Because what father doesn't want to see his son or daughter?
He wants me.
Right? Like, that's nonsense. That's this statement, right? When those who are not conversant with factual knowledge, right? They're conversant with their own understanding. It's an excuse, right? It's a lame excuse. So our free will is never, the integrity of our free will is the essential principle of our ability to love Krishna, and thus it always remains. Our exercise of free will, says, but because of my past exercise of free will, there are certain things that are fixed for me. No matter how much I want to be, a world famous, beautiful person, it's not going to happen. Past karma. Sorry. You can do something now for next life if that's really what you want. But this life, no amount of face cream and ointment is going to help. Yeah. Give up. Right? These plastic surgeons are trying to alter one's destiny in this regard. A whole huge industry. Okay. Yeah.
Your examples are really good. So I get this question a lot, I'm sure you do as well. When a person says, okay, the soul is pure, why would my soul want to come to this place of Dukkhālayam Shashvatam? I don't have a great response for that. So,
well, let's add complexity to that question. How in this place, because that happened in the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Vaikuntha, free of miseries. So how any impure thoughts could enter into that realm? So not only is the soul pure, how that's possible? So the simple answer is, again, we take Srila Prabhupada's answer to this question, which he's answered repeatedly. And he said, don't worry how it happened, don't let it happen again.
Oh, okay.
Who cares? You can spend all your energy trying to figure this thing out, or you can just focus on and then the question becomes, yeah, but what happens again? Right? That's the next question.
Okay.
Great. Krishna answers that, I think, 8 or 9 times in Bhagavad Gita. He says, when you come back to me, you never return again. You ever wonder why he always says you never return again? Because we are foolish to think, oh, if I make that mistake once, what happens if I make it again? Krishna says no. And then Prabhupada gives the example. Child puts a hand in a pot of boiling water, seeing bubbles, burns. Mother said no, but child still did it. Will child ever do that again? No. By experience, we're guaranteed never to happen. So the best thing to do is to not rack our brain trying to understand this. Now, Jiva Goswami has written in the Tattva Sandarbha some details on this topic. And even to the point where it creates some so-called controversy, about did we really fall from the spiritual world? It doesn't matter. We're here. Does it really matter? No. So there's some very technical understandings of this topic. And there's I would say, some different schools of thought. In the end, I like Srila Prabhupada's approach. It's easiest. It just stops the conversation, right? About how, what if, because it's the same thing, right? How Krishna can say, in the same context, that Aham Bijaha Pradapita, that I am the seed-giving Father. And at the same time say, never was there a time that you did not exist, nor I. Put those two statements together. Can't do it. With our material mind, we can't do it. Right? So, like in that same regard, we have to understand our limitations to understand, and then apply what's practical. So, how it exactly happened, it's not so relevant, because it happened. But what is relevant is, how do I undo it? That we know. That we can spend our time, contemplating on. So, that's it. Now, if you want to go a little further, there is some discussion that the jiva expresses that free will before it sort of enters into actual activities in the world. And so it didn't really fall, but it starts in the spiritual world, so there's some nuances. That's really the way we can address that situation, which is focus on undoing it. We're not able to really understand the nuances of whatever. Just like we're not able to understand the nuances of, we can't understand the concept of eternal. We speak eternal all the time because we don't have any experience of anything eternal in the material world. Right? We can only understand something we can relate to. Right? That's Srila Prabhupada's brilliance. He can take a topic and relate it to us in something we can contextualize. But we can't understand eternal. We know the word, we know the understanding, but we can't because we don't know anything eternal. And so how the soul was created and always existed. Just accept it.
I can even relate one analogy while we are discussing now. Like, I think Srila Prabhupada mentioned in various books, like if we fall into material ocean, we don't think of like how did we fall, how did we drown, but just get out of this ocean, just try to get out of this ocean.
Yeah, you're not going to waste your time figuring out how you got in the ocean. You're going to spend your energy getting out. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So that's the. Yeah, say it again, and sometimes people like to try to make a big, sort of topic around this, and it's not a good use of our time. Eat prasadam, sing and dance for the Lord, read Shrimadbhagavatam, chant our rounds nicely, do some good sadhu sangha. That's a good use of our energy and time.
I the answer is perfect. As Ajay Prabhu said, why waste your time thinking about it? People always continue to ask the question. So my answer is very similar to what Prabhupada, I just kind of put Prabhupada and say there's no need to worry about this. It's when people ask, well, but why? Well, I'm like,
but you have to take them to the point of you can't understand.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So because when you tell somebody don't worry about it,
that's my
that doesn't satiate the need. Don't tell them in this way, but hey, you're not smart about it. No, but the point is we can't contextualize it. We can't understand it. There's so many things we can't understand. How in the spiritual world we can have good, better, best? Everything's absolute. Absolute means absolute. It's perfect. But we have perfect, more perfect, most perfect. We can't understand that. So you got to get them to say, you can't understand it. So don't waste your time on something you can't understand. But what you can understand is how to undo it. Spend your time.
It's very similar when people want to understand the ins and outs of karma, and you can't understand.
No, it's beyond.
It's beyond.
You can know the principle,
Yeah.
action, reaction. But what action I did to warrant this reaction, I don't know. That you can never know. But you can know Krishna is the perfect judge. So never too much, never too little. That you can know. Right? So you got to redirect them to what they can know and convince them they can't know this. That's the only way they're going to let go of that point. Otherwise, they're going to keep grabbing at it, keep pulling at it, keep tussling at it. So you got to break them to say, you can't understand it. And then you're going to get the question eventually, well, yeah, I mean, it's unfair. I shouldn't be in prison unjustly. Right? And then that people will take that further. And you say, yes, but you have faith that Krishna's love is perfect. So he would never punish somebody unjustly. So I may not know what I did, but I have faith that Krishna's, because he's when we're in the hands of materialists, yes, I could be wrongly imprisoned. The judge could make a bad decision. The lawyer could make a mistake. That's all possible in material. But in spiritual, Krishna's the supreme judge and the lawyer and the prison, everything. I know, I'm good. I don't have to worry about it. Right? So that, again, you can break down all those doubts with foundational principles that then will ease that concern ultimately. And after all that, if you can, move on. Hare Krishna. Santara Shrimadbhagavatam ki. Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava.